Hello and welcome to the Prologue episode of The Entertainment Gig. I'm your host, Cleon. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I help run an entertainment business prop house in New York City. I got the idea to do a podcast some time ago, strangely enough, from watching a lot of talk shows, especially the late night ones. And I always noticed that as a musician and an entertainment nut, it always bothered me that actors would always go on the talk shows and get to talk about themselves. Musicians, however, rarely ever get to talk at all. They show up at the end of the show, they might play a song or two, you might get to shake the host's hand every now and then, and that's it. No one talks to them. And the thing is, musicians are some of the smartest, most creative people I know. I mean, why doesn't anybody ever interview them? So I decided that I was going to. And it wouldn't be some sort of gossipy kind of interview thing. I just wanted to know what made them tick, what gave them their spark of creativity, what made them write or perform a particular song in a certain way. There was just one little problem with this idea. I actually don't know any musicians in New York City. My side of the business is mainly movies and TV, fashion, that type of thing. So I pretty much tabled the idea for a long time. And then one day, riding into work on the subway, it hit me. I know an awful lot of behind-the-scenes people in the industry. I mean, my life is blessed. I know people who work on some of your favorite TV shows and movies that you've ever watched, and these people are incredibly talented. They're really the real foot soldiers in the entertainment army, if you think of it that way. I mean, these guys are teamsters, they're set decorators, art directors. They're the driving forces behind some of our favorite shows and our favorite movies. And these guys never, ever get interviewed. And they have some of the best stories to tell. I mean, why wouldn't anybody want to talk to them? So I decided that I would start talking to them, and that's why I started this podcast. So here's what this podcast is. Hopefully I'll talk each week to someone in the industry about what they do. At this point, my scope is basically focused on set decorators and art directors because that's who I deal with on a day-to-day basis. But eventually, I want it to be anybody in any branch of entertainment, fashion, models, musicians, whoever. What I want the show to be like eventually is sort of like Charlie Rose's show or Larry King's show, but on helium. By that, I mean I want it to be informative and fun, not stuffy or boring. You know, this isn't inside the actor's studio. We're not all curing cancer here. We just entertain for a living. So we're going to keep it light and simple. I'm going to throw in some entertainment news, upcoming movies, music, maybe make a recommendation or two, that sort of thing. It's sort of an evolving thing as we go. But here is what the podcast is not. It's not a political podcast. I know, especially this year, politics and race tend to rule the day, but I'm going to try hard not to make this into that. And make no mistake, we're going to bring up race and politics, but only in the context of having to do with the entertainment industry at a given moment, depending on what the topic is. Like, say, for instance, the Oscar So White controversy about a month or two back. Politics will probably enter into some of the interviews that I do and on interviewing. If that is the case, I'll leave it in, but the show's really not geared towards that. It's geared towards more of the craft of entertaining, how and why these really talented people do what they do. Also, we're not here to throw anybody under the bus. Okay, it's not that kind of show. So if you're looking for some behind-the-scenes dirt on what actor is really bad, who screwed up their lines, who pulls diva acts, that sort of thing, or you want spoilers into the next season of Daredevil or whatever, you might as well just hit stop right now and just go back to whatever you were doing, because it's not going to happen here. Okay, don't even bother listening if that's the case. If that's not the case, however, sit back and enjoy. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do one episode a week. It'll be an audio cast for now. It may become a video cast at some point. I'm not going to rule that out as of yet. This is mainly a passion project right now. But hey, if you want to sponsor it, I'll schlep for anybody. I don't care. Don't matter. I'll put up snippets of an interview that I do into the show, which will round itself out to probably around 30 minutes a week. But what I will also do is I will post the full unedited interviews separately. And I might do what I'll call at the moment emergency shows for breaking news, that sort of thing. That pops up from time to time. For instance, I'm going to do one on the death of Prince, which will be the next podcast, probably right after I post this one. Then, like I said earlier, the show's going to be ever evolving, so if you have any questions, comments, whatever, feel free to email me at cjbtproductions@gmail.com, or you can leave me a comment in the comments section of wherever you're listening to this podcast, be it SoundCloud, YouTube, eventually iTunes, that sort of thing. Well, that's it for now. This has been the Prologue episode of the Entertainment Gig, episode 0.0, I guess. My name is Cleon. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time.